All righty, people. What is happening? Hopefully, you're having a fantastic week.
How
And
we feeling?
tonight's stream, we are going to help people improve their dynasty teams.
No question.
Obviously, a lot going on in the NBA world, but that doesn't mean we stop. The grind never stops
That's right,
in
baby. The Knicks all the way
dynasty.
to the top. Talk it up, huh?
The
You
Knicks
got
did
this
make a
Bridges
big
dude.
move.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, I like to call him. Obi-Wan Kenobi gets that extension. Sure.
Joel says Mikal Bridges hasn't missed a game since high school. Get ready to play 48 minutes every night, buddy, which is actually true. I'm
okay.
surprised that you guys, which you don't know much about the NBA, but you re-signed OG Anunoby to a 5-year, $212 million deal.
Is that absurd? Out of curiosity?
That's a lot for OG Anunoby, but I don't know what the market's going to be for all these players, but that's like over 42 million a year. So
I have no idea if that's an average or
that's pretty significant.
I don't even know what role he plays, so it's not like I know anything.
He's a very good defensive player, and he's going to be great for your team, but 42 million is a lot. Fantasy says a lot for OG, but it is the NBA, which is true. What's up, Vince? Welcome in. What's up, Joel? Welcome in, guys. We appreciate you.
How are we feeling,
We're going to start today's stream. For the next 5 minutes, we're going to do Q&A. Okay, so whatever questions you have, now is the time to get them in. 5 minutes on the clock. We're going to start a Q&A here. What's up, Albert? Welcome in. 369 says, yes, sir. MB on the Knicks is lethal, and we've got OG back. I agree. Overpaid, but worth it.
I'll try my best to follow the NBA next year, but there's no promises. Like in season.
Yeah.
In season, but
Tyler,
no promises.
what's up, man? He says, first time I've been able to watch live in a while. Never miss a stream. We appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you, man.
It's awesome to see people following so consistently on the channel. Joel says Badaki read Mikal Bridges to the Knicks and thought, is he good?
That happened when it happened on live stream yesterday, and I was like, is that guy good?
Yeah,
I have no idea who that is.
It's like I don't really know anything about it.
If you don't know, I don't know any. I don't really watch basketball. I only watch it during the playoffs, and I follow the Knicks because I'm from New York, and I don't know. I know how the game works. I don't know names.
Yeah. All right, let's do a Q&A here for the first 5 minutes, and then we'll get into some team reviews. First question is from Fantasy Football Garage. He says, buy, sell, hold, Kittle. 0.5 tight end premium. Kittle's an interesting name. I think it really comes down to what your team looks like. So, for example, if you're competing right now, I don't see any reason to sell George Kittle. Yeah, I get it. Like he's not, a young guy anymore, but in the span of a tight end's life, especially good ones like George Kittle, 30, 31 is not old for a guy like George Kittle. I still think he has 2 to 3 years left of producing, top 10 seasons. So I think it really depends on where you are. I don't think you can get a first round pick or anything near it. So at best, you're getting a second rounder. And if you're playing Dynasty in the span of 2 to 3 years, I don't know that you're going to get a tight end with the same value in that span. So it really does depend on your team construction, I'd say.
Yeah, I think it also depends on how you value George Kittle, as an individual. Because in the community right now, you can get an Evan Ingram, a David Njoku, maybe a Jake Ferguson. I'm happy to pivot to go younger. George Kittle, 30 years old. Maybe Evan Ingram is not the best pivot when it comes down to age, but it feels like his lifespan is a little bit longer. And, he's there with Trevor Lawrence, and he is one of the main targets over there. So if I can pivot to one of those guys, Evan Ingram, Njoku, even Jake Ferguson, I'm okay. But if not, I'm not forcing the trade. That's what I would say. I'm not forcing those trades.
Joel says, who's the equivalent of Mikal in the NFL? I would say it's like, man, a specific name is tough. I would say like L'Jarius
It's like the Eagles
Sneed.
Right now. What's happening? Because you said like all the Villanova players are coming back together to the Knicks. So it's like the Eagles drafting all the Georgia players.
Well, I took it as in like what's like the player equivalent, I guess.
Yeah.
I would say like L'Jarius Sneed, but not to that extent. If L'Jarius Sneed was just a little bit worse. I'd say like that is the equivalent, like a really good defender that could make the difference for you.
I would say that's pretty good if you're telling me that's L'Jarius Sneed, a good defensive player.
A little bit worse than L'Jarius Sneed, I'd say.
Yeah, I'll back that.
Yeah.
I'll back that.
Joel says, "What's your favorite stream to date?" I don't even know what you mean by the Disney MILF tiers. We sent them in. We'll never talk about it again. Favorite stream to date? I don't know. We stream so often, it's hard to like keep track.
I think the best ones that I think are memorable in the community are probably the Trey Lance ones.
Trey Lance.
The Trey Lance, because we discussed Trey Lance in nausea the last couple years.
Sure.
Yeah, that's one I can think of.
Nothing really stands out. Mr. Bakes a lot says, "What do you think of Josh Palmer in Dynasty? Lad McConkey will surpass him, or will he be the number one option?" I definitely think Lad's going to surpass him, but I do think he's a good value. Definitely someone I'm interested in drafting in redraft and best ball leagues, because I wouldn't be surprised if Palmer ends up the number one. But if I had to put my money on it, it would be Lad.
Yeah, it's all Lad for me. I agree. I wouldn't be surprised, and Palmer could definitely play a role. But I think there's a lot more mouths to a lot more ways the balls can go this year.
Vince says, "What's Tua's value in Superflex? Inbox offer of T and a projected mid-second doesn't feel like enough." And yeah, you know what? That doesn't feel like enough, but I don't know how you'd get more. Like, you're not getting a first in T. That's a good question.
I think I would rather get the first than T Higgins, like a random first and maybe like a third. I don't think it could be a first and a second, but it feels like I don't want less than a first and a second. Does that make sense?
The way you'd have to structure this is getting T Higgins in a first and sending Tua in a second. So there'd have to be a pick swap in there.
Yeah, probably.
Fantasy Football Garage says, "I feel that Badaki seems like Ferg, Ingram, and Njoku are younger options versus Kittle." Brandon says, "I got a trade offer to receive Love and Amon-Ra for Stroud and Diggs. Would you accept this? Is it Superflex? Is it PPR?"
Receive Love. I mean, I would just say this. I want Love and Amon-Ra. I'm not a...
Same.
I think no matter what it is, whether it's PPR, I mean, even in Super one quarterback, give me Love, because Amon-Ra's difference versus Stephon Diggs is pretty significant.
Yeah.
So, give me.
I would also go the Amon-Ra side quite easily, actually. That's my favorite tier down from Stroud right there, is getting Love and Amon-Ra. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Mr. Bakes-A-Lot says, "Who's Breece Hall's backup?" I'd say Braylon Allen.
Yeah, it is Braylon.
And this is the last one before we get to a team review. Fantasy Football Garage says, "Is Jameson Williams a sell high candidate?" Same question for Jerry Judy. Sell high? I mean, look.
I don't know what you can get.
If you can get a second round pick, I think that's worth looking into. But I don't think you can get a second round pick in most leagues.
I don't think so either. I'm not sure how he will be a sell high unless. Yeah, I don't know how he could be a sell high in the community right now.
Let's see what Keep Trade Cut says. But yeah, I would say like a second at most is what you're going to get. He's wide receiver 48.
I would say that he... Sorry, continue.
Apparently he's worth more than the 210, which I don't see how that's... If you can get the... So apparently...
We saw Jameson Williams go for a second round pick in one of our rookie drafts.
If you can really get the 206 in this year's draft for him, then as much as I love Jameson, I would sell him and I would re-roll. But I don't think that's really possible. That feels like a fake value.
Fake news.
I don't think people are doing that when Legette's there, Pearsall's there, Coleman is there, Trey Benson, Michael Penix sometimes. So I'm not really sure that that's a real value. But Judy, I would sell for like what can I get for Judy?
I'll personally be doing an early third in 2024. In next year's draft, maybe I can get a late second. I don't think his value. I don't think you should be getting anywhere near a second. And if you can get that, I think that's great, personally.
Yeah, I agree. If you can sell for any second, I would do that as well. But all right, guys, we are gonna move on to some Dynasty team reviews. Do us a favor, go ahead and hit that like button to show some love. We appreciate everybody who's in the chat right now, who is with us supporting. But if you want your Dynasty team reviewed, it's very, very simple. All you got to do is go to our a la carte service. I'll put a direct link in the chat for you. When you click on that link, it'll ask you what league you want us to have a look at. It'll ask you what team. Choose your team. Make sure that you have the correct sleeper picks. If you need to add a pick, let us know so we have all the context we need. But make sure you click that box, enter your Discord name, enter any information you want us to know, and of course, you got the Zach and Badaki option here for us to review your team on a live stream. The first team that we were reviewing today is Tony.
Tony, hey, we appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for the support. He says, hey guys, second year in Dynasty, made many moves to pivot off older top 30, 40 running backs to get my 24 picks and took your advice to down tier a bunch to get 25 seconds. Just missed playoffs, but won toilet bowl, so I got the number 1 pick in 2024. Wow. Okay,
nice.
RB room stinks, not a deep wide receiver bench, tight end so-so. The number 1 team got many lopsided trades.
Okay.
So they are going to be tough to even beat. He offered me Waddle in a mid 25 first and a late 26 first for Lamb. I wanted Waddle, Bowers, and a 25-6 or second for him. What is a good trade for Lamb?
All right, let's have a look at the team. So, as this is loading, Scruffnastys is the team name. This is a 12-team start 8. And it's not Superflex.
It is not
Superflex.
So
I've done this for us now. Start 8 means we're working in the range. This is the range we're working in here. So 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and 2 flex. Yeah, that is most likely what your start 8 league looks like. So we can start 4 wide receivers. That's the mindset we should be going in looking at this team now. But what was this team name again?
Scruffnastys.
So you are second in the community rankings.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I'm gonna look at my rankings really fast here.
It is a relatively small starting lineup. You know, again,
yeah, I have you second
8.
as well. I have you second, so have a look at this team.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, C.J. Stroud, Jaden Daniels, I think is perfect. Great quarterback room. You don't have to worry about that. At the running back room, Jonathan Brooks, Ramondre Stevenson, who gets that contract extension with Kendre Miller, and call on Tyrone Tracy. Mm-hmm. So I think the running back room is good. I think when it comes down to maybe competing and maybe getting these fantasy points off the rip, it might be a little bit difficult here with Jonathan Brooks as a slow burner. My expectations, excuse me, but Ramondre Stevenson is your RB1 going into the season right now. Wide receivers is CeeDee Lamb, Martin Harrison Jr., Drake London, Roma Dunze, and then the list kind of goes on there. You could start up to 4 wide receivers, and your 4th wide receiver, I guess technically, is Roma Dunze.
Yeah.
But not something that we're excited for in the long run. Maybe this year may not be something we want to lean on. And then Dalton Schultz with Luke Musgrave there at the tight end position.
So obviously you've already had your draft because you said you had the 101, which means you would have taken Marvin Harrison Jr. And it looks like you're saying the guy who is the number 1 team wants CeeDee Lamb. I really don't know that it benefits you to send CeeDee Lamb to the number 1 team.
I don't think you should be selling CeeDee Lamb at all in the start 8 personally.
No, I don't think so either. There is not a price he can pay. I mean, he can send us like Puka in the deals that you're talking about, but no, I'm not going to give you the best. Let's be honest. In a 1 quarterback league, CeeDee Lamb for me is the most valuable player in a 1 quarterback league.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree.
I'm not going to be sending you CeeDee Lamb when you're my number 1 competition. I'm not. That's like if we are in a super flex league and I'm like, hey, you're my competition. I'm going to find a way to give you Josh Allen. You're going to give me Tua and a bunch of picks. No, I'm not doing that. I'm trying to beat you. So respectfully, CeeDee Lamb's off the table. For me,
I agree.
This is a good team, but your depth is completely shot at every position, right? I like Tyrone Tracy. He's a really fun sleeper, but Isaiah Davis and Elijah Mitchell aren't moving mountains. At wide receiver, I know you like Wandale, but I think Javon Baker's fun. Wandale's fun, but They're not guys
Yeah,
I
like
really feel like I'm
these
building
are
around. The
yeah,
wild
these are
cards.
stash players. These are wild card players that you hope that can at least be top 30 guys. These aren't top 10 guys, and in start 8, you need these top 10 guys.
Yeah. So I do think we've got our first round pick, and we've also got Dab Me Up's first round pick next year,
You have
which
a lot of seconds as well.
Dab Me Up is the 6th ranked team, so they're quite middle of the pack there. I think I would like to try and add depth. I want either another running back or a wide receiver before
I agree.
we go into the season. And I think names like for these second round picks, Deontay Johnson comes to mind. Like I don't mind adding like a vet. Add a vet running back, wide receiver. And they can be older names that are going to help you contribute right here, right now, like this year. For example, like running backs that come to mind, Badaki, for me would be like an Alvin Kamara.
Yeah.
Who else have you got?
I mean, I'll list the name Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon. I really like coming into this year as well. I think those are the top 3 guys I really like. I think you can probably extend that to. I know you like Aaron Jones. I'm not a big Aaron Jones guy.
Aaron Jones is just super cheap, so if you can get him for a 3rd round pick, I like that.
Yeah, and I think I'm okay with doing that. I don't want to be spending too much money or too much of my capital. But yes, those are some guys that I would be looking into. And Derrick Henry and Alvin Kamara on the same team, which is kind of annoying, but you have options, I guess.
I'm just looking at other names that might come to mind to me. Aaron
maybe
Jones.
Zamir White. I don't know how far you want to go.
I like Zamir White as an ad too. Yeah. And something that I've been doing on competing teams is adding the combo of Mostert and Wright. Like I've been finding ways to do that. Second and thirds, or a couple seconds, and I send a player, or I get more back in return. What's up, Grant? Yeah. Welcome in, man. Thanks for joining us. Doing, man? But yeah, so I think that is really the group that we can target. Why don't we start there and look at where these players are? So, for example, who has Alvin Kamara?
Alvin Kamara is team. I think it was the same team.
Alabama Slammers.
Alabama. And you know what? I want to say, what's his name? Something about the Tide.
Ain't nothing matter but the goddamn Tide. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
But I like Kamara. I mean, could we find our way into Kamara and Cooper Kupp somehow? Because I think that would be a really perfect, like, 1-2 for your team. Kamara plus Kupp. We don't want to give a first, but can we give, like, would you give 2 seconds for these guys?
For Kamara and Cooper Kupp, yeah, I would.
They shouldn't cost more than that in a one quarterback. You got to give at least a second.
Yeah, that's tough. I would try a second and a third, maybe.
That's not happening in one quarterback, though.
Okay, can we swap players, maybe? I'm just thinking.
The issue with that is his depth is so weak at every position.
Yeah. Damn, 2 seconds for Amari Cooper. Yes. That's a tough one. I'm like on the edge. I feel like that value on those seconds feel greater than what I'm going to be getting here for Alvin Kamara and Cooper Kupp, but I understand your thought process here.
Yeah, think. Are you thinking from a super flex brain too much potentially here? I don't know, because second round pick in super flex is more valuable than a one quarterback
and
format.
maybe I am thinking a bit too much in super flex. I mean, one quarterback. Yeah, I mean, if luckily both of these are late first in a one quarterback, yeah, sure. Late seconds, excuse me. I
think if you don't send 2 seconds, you're not even going to get a reply. I think it'll be an instant decline. But that would be like my first advice. Do you have different advice for Kamara?
I would say I feel more confident, and maybe I am trying to adjust those prices in my mind right now when it comes down to I would rather have Derrick Henry and Cooper Kupp for 2 seconds.
Well, this guy, does he have Henry then?
He does have Henry, the Alvin Kamara owner. Yeah.
Okay. I think at minimum that's going to cost you a first and a second.
First and a second. Okay.
I mean, I don't hate the idea, but I think that's going to cost you much more than 2 seconds.
More. Yeah, that's fair. Okay, well, look, let's see what we're giving him options
Sure.
regardless. So Kamara and Cup in 2 seconds. Try Henry and Cup. And then I personally wouldn't do a first for Henry and Cooper Cup, but if he does ask for that, I think I would want a higher tiered player, or maybe even a younger player, to try potentially build in with as well. You know, like if I can do a first and a second for, which once again, it's opening a door here for a DK Metcalf or a Christian Watson or Jordan Addison. I'm happy to do that. And if me having to give up an extra third to do that in a one quarterback league, I'm happy to give that up as well. Just to get those deals done.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it doesn't seem realistic for me.
That's fine.
Like I get like we want DK, but if you're gonna add DK instead of Cup, you're gonna have to pay 2 first-round picks at minimum.
DK specifically, yes, and I think Jordan Addison is at his lowest point here. I don't think Jordan Addison is worth a first. Is he?
Yeah. I don't think anyone's selling him for less than a first-round pick.
No one's buying him for a first either.
Yeah.
Absolutely, so I think maybe that's what. Sorry. Oh, okay. Never mind. I just saw the 49ers have cut ties, and I was like, is it Brandon Ayuk? No, it's Dr. Disrespect, which it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
Okay, so I don't know. I think these are. If you want Henry and Metcalf, I think you have to fork out 2 firsts in a 1 quarterback league.
Sure.
And I don't mind doing that, but I don't know. I think Kamara and Cup give you something similar for cheaper.
Yeah, obviously, and I'm not opposed. I'm not opposed to it. I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah. But let's look at other options. In Joe Mixon, who has Mixon. Shiz Boys has Mixon. He's also got Pollard and Chuba. I like the idea of like a Pickens Mixon, and if you're gonna do that, I think you're gonna have to send 2 first-round picks, or a first and a second.
For what about Amari Cooper?
Yeah, I don't mind Amari Cooper. Is he on the same team?
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, Joe Mixon and Amari Cooper on the same team there.
Yeah, I think you can do Mixon plus Cooper for 2 seconds. That kind of structure.
Yeah, I don't mind
that. Aaron Jones is a player I would be interested in acquiring. If you can get Aaron Jones, this is from the guy who's the number 1 team, so I doubt he's actually going to do this, but for example, I would send a second and a third for Jones and Burton. That's something I'd be interested in doing. So Aaron Jones plus Jermaine Burton. I'll send you a 25 second plus a third in any year. I think that could help your team as well. Zamir White. Who has Zamir White? And this is the time to buy running backs who are veterans, or they're always more affordable in the offseason than in season. So this guy's got a really good running back room, the guy who has Zamir White.
Kyron Jacobs, Pacheco.
So we're not going to be able to do any sort of deal where we get another player, but just a straight like second round pick for Zamir White. I would do. All these options I think definitely improve your team. If you can send Mostert and Wright, if you can somehow pay the equivalent of a second plus a third, then I would do it, because you're staying in that backfield. 2 guys who I believe are going to have a similar role. And if Mostert stays healthy, he's going to be another guy who's like, if he stays healthy, then Mostert is another top 15 season. In my mind.
Yeah, I can understand that.
So we did running back. Let's look at wide receiver ads then. We've talked about some of them, but I think, like, for
Yeah, you
example,
said
Mike Evans
Deontay.
comes to mind.
Yeah, you said Deontay Johnson as well.
Yeah, Deontay
I like
Johnson.
I like the Amari Cooper one that we kind of spoke about. Win now wide receivers, Cooper
Devontae
Cup.
Adams.
Yeah, I like Devontae Adams. Um,
Cooper
I
Cup.
think you can go along the lines of like the Stephon Diggs, which I'm pretty sure he kind of mentioned, or DeAndre Hopkins. I'm not sure how much confidence he feels about in those guys. Even lower tiers like Brandon Cooks. It just depends
Yeah.
on what tier you want to go at that you feel comfortable with
Um,
when it comes down to some of these guys.
yeah, I'm thinking guys that, like, I feel are definitely gonna contribute. Cooper Cup for sure is a good name. I'm not really in on Keenan Allen at this point, unfortunately. But yeah, let's start with those names that we've given. So, who has Mike Evans?
Mike Evans is Hunky Alley, Hoodlums. Mhm.
All right, so he's got Evans, Lockett, Williams, DJ Moore, Justin Jefferson. His running back room is pretty rough, but could we find our way into Mostert and Evans? So I think, and again, I think we have to be realistic with this being a one quarterback league. To me, if you're going that way, Mostert plus Evans, I do think you're going to have to give a first round pick and give maybe the least valuable one. I don't think you get those cheaper than a first. You're not getting Evans. Like, maybe you get Evans for a second in a super flex league. In a one quarterback, I just don't think it's happening. Let's see. Maybe I'm wrong. Late first and 25. Yeah. Let's see. Early second. So Mike Evans, yeah. It's just not happening in that format. But if you get rid of that first round pick, you still have either yours or the other teams. So you still have one first round pick in that deal. And then that could trigger a Jalen Wright buy.
Sure. Mostert Evans in a 24 for 25 first.
Deontay Johnson, who has Deontay Johnson.
Deontay Johnson, where you at? Team 8.
So
Finger.
I wonder if we could. For this team, I wonder if we can get our hands on Etienne and Deontay, and I'd be willing to pay a first and a second.
Yeah, I like that. Get Etienne because your running back room could add another running back, and then getting Deontay Johnson.
If that's possible. If not, I would also just do Deontay straight up for a second.
Yeah, to get that depth on your offense, on your wide receiver room.
And I think it'll be a startable asset. I really like the idea of like an Adams ad who has Devontae Adams, the guy who has Diggs as well. I wonder if you get a second for Adams or Diggs.
I think you can. Well, if Mike Evans is a first, then Devontae Adams is surely a first, no?
Potentially. But Adams obviously has the issue with quarterback play. They just added Brock Bowers, and he's a little bit older than Mike Evans. Evans just got that extension, so I think
there's a huge gap in the community with Mike Evans is wide receiver 27 and Devontae Adams 37.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I think Adams is cheaper if I'm not mistaken. Right?
Yeah. In the Flock Fantasy website. So
on the Flock Fantasy site, okay.
But on here, on Keep Trade Cut, they're back to back, which means that they would be if they're following Keep Trade Cut, it would be equivalent to that first round pick that you kind of mentioned.
Alternatively, what you could do is you could do Adams and a second for a 25 first.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like add that pick swap in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there any other names we want to explore there?
No, I think we mentioned Amari Cooper. I would say I'd probably do like Brandon Cooks for like any random third. But like I get what you're saying, just getting somebody that can produce now.
Yeah, I don't mind Cooks in as a sleeper. but start 4 wide receivers. It's
Yeah,
tough to like bet on him.
But I think that's a good foundation so far that we have for you.
I don't mind Calvin Ridley either for a second.
Yeah, that's a little bit longer. I understand. Tony.
Anything else that I haven't gone through here that you want to make sure we cover?
I'm just making sure that he has asked everything and that we answered everything.
He did have that question about CeeDee Lamb, but
yeah, so he offered me Waddle and a mid 25 first and a late 26 first for Lamb. Waddle and 2 first for Lamb. Nah, I'll keep Lamb there.
Yeah, not in a start 8. Or yeah, you're start 8, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's start 8.
No, you're basically giving him the championship this year. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if he wants to,
you just you give the championship. You just lose your most valuable player here. I'm not willing to
Same.
I'm not willing to do that.
Tight end is another area we desperately need to improve. So that might be the last thing we should talk about here for this team. Tight end, like, to me, I would spend to get the guy personally. So like, you don't have to do all these deals. Maybe you do one of the deals that we're suggesting. But if I can send like a 25 first, I would actually pay 25 first plus a 25 second for the following names. Because again, 1 quarterback league, start 8. I think they're going to be a little more expensive. But guys like Kincaid, Andrews, Pitts for me.
That's probably the most ideal one. Mark Andrews and Travis.
I think that's it.
Yeah, I'd agree. And I was just looking at those names. Kincaid's team is really difficult to go out and try to acquire him because he has Kincaid, Michael Mayer, and it really just falls off there.
Yeah.
I think the one that makes sense is Mark Andrews.
Okay. Which team is that?
Shiz boy. He has Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce.
Okay. Either of those are good targets. You can send a second for Kelce or a first and a second for Andrews.
Yeah.
A second for Kelce might make more sense for your current team. But you can even like feel free to add in some of these names like Schultz, Musgrave to a deal to make something happen. Yeah. You know, if you need to pay Musgrave and a first for a guy like Kyle Pitts, or, you know, if Kincaid, for example, is going to cost that, then there's no reason not to do that.
Yeah, I agree. Because all these other tight ends, there's one-off tight ends, Sam Laporta, and then George Kittle.
Laporta's, yeah, too expensive.
McBride.
I think your team's in a pretty good spot. Like let's give this team a grade. I would say probably a B to a B plus range.
Okay.
Only because your running backs aren't as strong as I want them to be, and your tight end isn't very strong.
Yeah, I have like a B minus. I'm in the lower B's.
Sure.
Because you have 2 positions that are struggling, but you have really strong foundational pieces, essentially almost at every single position outside the tight end.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit hard to envision, specifically with the number 1 team currently with Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
With Chase, Puka, Olave, Brees, and Monty, he has a little bit more depth there as well. So
I'm just gonna play like best case scenario here for a second. How many second round picks do we have?
I think it was 4.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So, in my ideal world, this is what your team would look like. Obviously, who you've got: C.J. Stroud, Jaden Daniels. We'll have Jonathan Brooks, Stevenson, Kendre Miller, but we'll add Kamara and Etienne. And then at wide receiver, Lamb, Harrison, London, Adunze, and we'll also add Cooper Kupp, Deontay Johnson, and at tight end, we'll add Travis Kelce. That is the best case scenario. If you can get one of those deals done, it's going to improve your team. If you get 2 of them, it's going to help you. If you can get 3 of them, you'll pretty much solve every concern you currently have. But yeah, definitely, if you take anything away, CeeDee Lamb is not available. In your league, if we redrafted, CeeDee Lamb would be the number 1 pick. So, not available.
Yeah, in the 1 quarterback league. So yes, 100%. You have the 101. Think of it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, great team though. We appreciate you. Thank you for your support there.
Yeah.
Scruffnasty.
Proofy says, you cats ever thought about reviewing each other's team and seeing what they'd change? Was that insider trading? I mean,
It might be a little bit inside trading because we are in every single league that we have currently, but I don't think it's that big of a deal because we can
no, it
do it
wouldn't
for
be a
fun.
big deal.
It'll do it
But
for fun.
we just have so many different opinions. I think we know what each other would do, and weirdly, like, all right, I know what you would do. I probably won't do that, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, we appreciate you big time, Scruff Nasty. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the love. I'm going to make sure we send you a screenshot of this whiteboard. A lot of options there to improve your team. I do think the veteran undervalued players is the route to go for a team like this. Because I think you can get pretty good value for some of those names. And honestly, 2 of those deals getting done, I think could be the reason you potentially win a championship with a team like that.
Yeah. Appreciate the support, man. Thank you so much.
Yes. All right, we are going to go on to the next team.
Fidel Lando. That's funny.
I'll mark this as complete. Fidel Lando, yes.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for the support. He said 10-team super flex, half PPR, non-time and premium. He said tanked hard in year 1 out of the league, so now just looking to move more into contention. Most recent trade with the league champs gave Addison my 25-second and 25-third and received Hawkinson, Kendra in a 25-second. Any obvious next steps? All right. And once again, super flex. Let's have a look at this team
He
here.
did send some messages as well. Recent trades. He's got this is his format, which looks like 2, 4,
Start
6,
11.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, so he sent the league champ his 3rd for Singletary, Waddle, Judy, and a contender's first for Higgins, Dell, Rojo.
Ronald Jones?
Yeah.
Or Roscoe Jones. Maybe is it Rashawn Johnson?
Rashawn
maybe?
Johnson, yeah.
Yeah.
Sent Herbert and the 201 for Justin Jefferson.
Send Herbert and the
Okay.
201 for Justin Jefferson.
Okay. All right, cool. So let's have a look at the squad.
Yeah, let's.
By the way, anyone who is watching this, hey, how do I get my team reviewed? Very simple. We got a link in the chat for you guys. Click that. It's going to take you to our a la carte store. Sync whatever league, whatever team you want us to look at. Make sure you've got the right rookie picks, enter your Discord name, and any information you want us to know. Click continue. You've got the land boys right here. That is how you can get your team reviewed by us. And we got a very quick turnaround right now at this point of the season, which is awesome.
Yeah. So it looks like you're ranked second in my rankings. You're ranked second in the community as well.
Yep.
And let's look at these. This team here: Kyler Murray, Anthony Richardson, Drizzy, Drake, May. Phenomenal quarterback room.
Yep.
The running back room looks like is where you really fall off.
It's
Charbonnet,
rough,
Kendra, Roscoe, Devin Singletary. I get it. It's not the best there. At the wide receiver,
you have plenty of like what if names. Kamani Vidal is a what if name. Same with Audric Estime, Rico, Devin Singletary.
Yeah, 100%. All these guys.
Kendra, Zach Charbonnet. I mean, you just need like a couple of those situations to go your way.
Yeah, no question. And if they do turn around, then hey, this could be an interesting team. Yeah. You do have a start 11, which means you can start up to 6 wide receivers, 2 wide receivers, and 4 flex spots. It's looking like. However way that is on your team, just keep that in mind. Justin Jefferson, Martin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Tank Dell, T. Higgins, Jackson Smith, and Jigba are your starting 6 wide receivers currently. With Shakira, Javon Baker, Demario Douglas on the bench as well. So that feels really exciting. I like that wide receiver room.
It's a very good receiver room, very top heavy, good depth, and a bunch of wild cards we love in Shakir, Baker, and Douglas. So
yeah, 1,000%.
I would not be surprised if Pop Douglas is a surprise name this year.
At the tight end position,
Hawkinson.
Yeah, Hawkinson, which is good. It's just not this year.
What was the deal where he gave Addison a 2nd and a 3rd for Hawkinson, Kendre, and a 2nd. So that's relatively even. I do think tight end matters more.
Yeah, I would say in any other year that TJ is not injured. I think this year, this trade next year is an easy like smash accept with the expectation of TJ
Yeah.
Hawkinson most likely playing the year. But keep in mind my expectations that I don't see him being fantasy relevant or helping your team win a championship. He'll be back on the field, but not helping you. So in reality, your tight end one coming into this year, in my eyes, is Luke Musgrave, which is not the strongest, but still, at least you have TJ for the future here.
Man,
He says,
every time I see Michael Mayer, it just makes me sad. Like, I still don't understand. I still don't understand
I
the
think it's
Michael
just
Mayer
smoke.
pick.
I don't think they want to take Brock Bowers. I think they just took best player available. It was literally best player
But
available.
it
Like I
doesn't
don't care
matter.
what
Like
we
I'm just
have.
saying, like it's happened. So at this point, it doesn't matter
Yeah.
what their game plan was. Like
Mhm.
it's just it feels like such a wasted pick, Michael Mayer. Now, like I don't mind the Brock Bowers pick, but it's just Michael Mayer could have been like one of the 10 best tight ends in the league, and now he's buried. I just don't understand it. And he's on in his second year. It's like
I agree.
this could have been the Trey McBride breakout.
It could have. I think we were going to go through that conversation because we saw a little bit of the uptick in the second half of the season there.
Hmm.
But I get it. It's unfortunate. Unfortunate for
But
Michael Mayer.
unfortunate for Fidel Lando. But here's what I'll say: great quarterback room. We don't need to touch that quarterback room. At running back, that's where we're really struggling, and I'd say it's our main area of need. Um, you have your first round pick in 25. You have 2 seconds in 25, and you have 2 firsts in 26 as well. I do not mind adding like an anchor RB to this team. You know, you have enough good players that you're going to be competing this year. But are you going to be a team
And just
like
have
this?
a rotational RB2. I
Yeah.
get you.
So, like, are you going to beat this team, though? Prescott, Tua, JT, Kyron, Stevenson, Swift, Lamb, Chase, Amon-Ra, Addison, Evan Ingram? Probably not. But we know winning championships is quite random. Like, injuries happen all the time. The best team very rarely, not very rarely, but doesn't always win. I'm looking for an anchor RB for this team. Like a Saquon.
My thought process here is, do we want to invest in an anchor RB this year specifically? Like I agree with you. I think I'm just countering because this running back that you're going to be getting that yes may be proven, you could potentially get just as good in 2025. Now you do have your own first, which most likely be a late first. I guess if we're looking at this rankings, but do we wait until next year for a 25 instead of using our 25 first now?
Hmm.
I think this is the hardest part with everything that we're talking about with the 25 class. Do we go get a Saquon who's going to be 27 years old, who's going to be on a good offense? That's probably going to be a 2-year window or maybe 3-year window in reality. Or do we just get our running back in 25 and wait?
I don't mind the route of like a veteran running back, you know. Kind of actually like some of the names that we just talked about. All these
Or the Joe
names.
Mixons, the Derrick Henrys, the Aaron Jones. Yeah, yeah.
I think
So
those aren't bad ideas for this team.
that feels better.
I will be right back. I'm gonna leave his team up, but go for it. Like let's talk through some of those veteran ideas and add it to the whiteboard.
Yeah, yeah. And as he was kind of saying that, I think it makes more sense in my eyes to go those veteran routes because of I'm personally not trying to build off of a Saquon and then not have a 25 first where I could have just gotten a new running back in that next year's class. So let's look at where Alvin Kamara at and just go down this list and what we could potentially use because in a super flex start 10, it's probably be a little bit more. And this guy has the opportunity to get this depth. He has another 25 second. Alvin Kamara in the community in a start 10 or in a start 11 specifically in a super flex league. you know, I think this is where you could potentially try and squeeze um a late second, which you are going to be having here. So let's see second round. Let's see what the community thinks. I know you guys probably can't see this, but I'm just trying to do it in my head. So late 25 second. It says Alvin Kamara is a little bit. So let's try this. Alvin Kamara for late 25 second, which once again you're most likely going to be having with your team. I personally like that move there as well. I don't think you can do it for Derrick Henry in the Superflex League. In the Superflex League for Derrick Henry, he's going to be more of like a late first. But that's really difficult here, and I think I potentially might be packaging 2 late seconds to get a Derrick Henry, and maybe trying spreading that out in 25 and 26 if I can do that. So let's see. Let's do 26 late second. Yeah, maybe you can do like Derrick Henry. Let's see. And obviously we'll get Zach's opinion when he gets back. Get Derrick Henry. And a lot of people do 2 late second, late 25 seconds. That's just, or see, this is where I don't want to do. I don't want to do the first, right? And I'll say Joe Mixon for late second. I think this is a great one you could potentially go out and get. Joe Money Bags. I really like Joe Mixon coming into this year with CJ Stroud. Aaron Jones. Once again, I'm not a big believer in Aaron Jones. And let's see where Aaron Jones is currently at and what his team looks like. Oh, yeah, he has Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones. There's opportunity here for you to definitely get at least one of these guys off this guy's team. Aaron Jones, I will say any third. Any third. 25 third. And some people would pay a second for Aaron Jones. I'm not a big Aaron Jones believer going into this offense with the Minnesota Vikings. I think, yeah, he could potentially see an uptick in production. Or not an uptick, but be lit on with J.J. McCarthy. But this is a high-powered passing offense, and I don't think he's going to be getting a lot of those things. And Aaron Jones never has been successful on that. He's been more dump-off passes. But give me somebody else in the wings there personally. Zamir White, who I've also been saying you potentially be selling high, but if for your team like yourself, any 25 late seconds and then potentially selling him in season, I think will be perfect. Let's see where Zamir White is currently in the community.
All right, what do we got?
Or in this league here. So Zamir White does have another good. So Zamir White and Alvin Kamara are both on the same team there. So I was just kind of breaking it down, and I know sometimes you would be paying a little bit more for some of these guys.
Sure.
Specifically, what I've been trying to do here is hold my 25 first.
Yes.
I don't think we should be moving our 25 first. And the only thing we can be doing is using these seconds to go out and get one of these running backs. So once again, the Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones, Zamir White. So the following.
Mostert should be very acquirable because the team who has him has Breece Hall, E.T., and Benson Connor. So I'm wondering if we can do a Mostert for a third, and then add Wright as well for a third. Set these deals up to get accepted together.
What about Jerome Ford, out of curiosity?
Yeah, I just don't think he's the future of this team at all. And I don't like the difference between like a Mostert ad or a Aaron Jones ad. I feel like that guy's going to help me this year. I think Ford can, but I just don't.
Okay, so then Zach Moss
sure.
then.
I love Zach Moss.
Because I think the same way you feel about Zach Moss is I feel about Jerome Ford, because I'm not a big believer in Nick Chubb coming back. So I would be happy to pay. I don't think you can pay. You have to pay maybe you do have to pay a second for Ford.
I think you would have to pay one for Moss, and I think you would have to pay one for
Yeah, you would have to pay one for Ford.
I don't want to pay. I would be willing to pay a third for Ford, but I don't think the person who has Jerome Ford is looking at that trade and thinking, yeah, might as well re-roll. Like, I mean, that's what I want my third round to pick to become. But it's definitely worth trying.
Yeah, I agree. I think if it's worth trying, if you can get either of those guys for really cheap, I'm happy, because keeping that first is very key here, and not trying to give that up.
The good news, by the way, Jalen Wright team has a ton of running backs, so Wright is definitely a movable piece for him. But yeah, I think there's some options there for you. You don't want to get rid of that first round pick because you could add such a dynamic running back to your roster. Man, it's funny because I was gonna say I feel like you need an Evan Ingram, but that's the first number one team has Evan Ingram.
Right. Yeah, the tight end position is definitely.
But yeah, if you can get one of those names, let's say, I mean, Kamara, Henry, Mixon, White, Mostert, whatever. You got a startable guy, and then you just need to find one of these names to rotate. Is that Vidal, Dowdle, Singletary, who could probably start for you actually? Rashawn, or not Rashawn, probably Kendra, Zach Charbonnet. Like, which one of these guys can be your RB2 on a different week? Because hopefully your wide receivers are what's carrying your team long term. So I think we are exploring the market, but we're not going all in by moving all of our picks.
Yeah, I agree. Explore it. Try and get these pieces. If it doesn't work out, that's okay. At least you have your 25 first. The last thing you would hate to do is setting a first for a running back, your first for a running back, and it doesn't work out, and you wish you could have just reset your market at that running back position.
The other thing I would say is I would explore the market on Jefferson. Not saying you move him, but this is a league. It's relatively a big league, right? Start 11, but it is 10-man actually. Look, here's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not opposed. I'm just feeling the market out, right? On Justin Jefferson. And when I say that, I mean, can I go from a JJ, because I've done this in a couple leagues, to a Amon-Ra St. Brown plus, you know, like, is there a first out there for me if I do that? To me, that's worth it. You know, what is the plus on a Jamar Chase move? Because we have a couple people in our DMs talking about how they want to get Jefferson and they have Chase. What is the move from a JJ to an AJ Brown? Like, what is the plus there? All I'm saying is explore the market. Not saying you need to make a move here, but I'm not opposed to it since it is such a deep league.
Yeah.
Most likely you're keeping Justin Jefferson, but I mean, if there's a deal out there where someone's going to give you a Amon-Ra on a first, okay. Of course, I'm going to go do that. Yeah. You know,
no question.
If someone's going to give you Nico Collins and 3 firsts, like, yeah, of course I'm going to do that. So just feel the market out on JJ, because every league is a little bit different. I'm not saying I'm concerned about him, but I also wouldn't be surprised if Amon-Ra and Chase and AJ Brown all outscore Jefferson this year. Like, that wouldn't surprise me given the current situation. So I'm willing to see what the market is.
Agreed.
But there is really, outside of Jefferson, like, I'm trying to look at like players to sell. Kyler's undervalued. I think A-Rich is a strong hold, and same with Drake May. So I don't see a quarterback I sell. At running back, I don't know if you can sell any of these guys. Like,
no, you can't.
You got to hold them at this point. At wide receiver, Jefferson's the obvious sell. We're not going to move Harrison and Neighbors. We just took them. They're foundational pieces, as is Jefferson. Higgins and Dell are guys we're buying. And Hawkinson's really tough to sell right now anyways. You can't sell Mayer for anything. There's really no obvious sell here. That's
best to hold on this team here. And if you can get one of those running backs, it would just potentially help your team going into the next level.
Yeah.
In season.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. But I would say limited moves with this team just because there's not as many movable pieces. There's a couple, but there's not as many movable pieces, and the pieces that we would maybe want to move, it's not the right time. But yeah, I do think adding a veteran running back is probably my favorite move for this team. But like, I always like to play best case scenario. To me, best case scenario is you get Alvin Kamara. I'm sure you talked about this, but he already has Kendre Miller, so that's perfect.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You get Alvin Kamara, and then you end up getting Amon-Ra in a first or something in some crazy deal like that. You know, if that happens, you still got Amon-Ra, Harrison Neighbors, Dell Higgins, JSN, but you've got an extra first. You lost a second, and you added Alvin Kamara to a team that has Kendre Miller. So it's a relatively limited moves, but there are definitely still things that you can do.
Yeah, great team, man. Good luck. Thank you so much for the support as well.
That might be it for today's stream. Let me double check. I think we told someone we might have time, but I have my appointment coming up, so I might not be able to keep going.
Yeah, he'll be the first one maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
Hop Tua, because we've been doing it live every single day, and if you're here, Hop Tua. I think his name's Andrew. Thank you so much, and like I said, you'll be the first one up tomorrow morning, or tomorrow night, excuse me. Our time.
Yes, Hawk Tua. I told him we're reviewing his team tonight. I just don't think I have time. Oh,
Yeah, you gotta go.
Did I send it to the right person? Let me check.
No, you sent that to the wrong person.
Okay, I know I sent it to the right person.
You sent it to Hawk Tua.
No, I didn't.
Oh no, okay, man. On my screen it was Hawk Tua's name over.
It just lags a little bit at times.
Okay.
I'm just gonna tell him you will be first review tomorrow night. Sorry,
Yeah.
I had a doctor appointment. All right, so I think we should be able to get through all of these tomorrow. Juice box,
And then obviously
Trav, we'll get through all these tomorrow. So again, if you guys haven't signed up yet and you do want your team reviewed, now is a fantastic time to do it. There is not much of a queue. Turnaround's very quick. So I put a direct link in the chat for you guys. It'll take you to the a la carte store. Just hit continue once you put all those details in. But sorry, Hawk Tua. I thought I'd have more time. But I think
we appreciate you.
I think that's it for today.
Yeah, thank you guys. We'll be live tomorrow recording those videos, or not recording those videos, but you know, doing those team reviews, and that's it.
Yeah, appreciate y'all. Enjoy the rest of your night. Hit the like button on the way out, and we'll see you soon. All love.
Love.